We got a couple of the guys from Camp Shelby in studio with us. If you haven't been with us, Staff Sergeant John Healy and Colonel Jack Vantress from the 177, the Combat Armored Brigade out of Camp Shelby. Colonel, yeah, I want to let you again. You lost 22 comrades in arms in Iraq, and when you said 06?
06,
06, 06, 07. Let me ask, this is kind of a touchy question, but you see, for those of us who have never served in the military, and I have not, I can't imagine that it is. I just can't imagine the closeness that bond, a band of brothers, if you will, and to see one of those brothers no longer there. Is there a way that you can explain that feeling to people who've never experienced that, or even experienced, again, life in a uniform and in that kind of situation?
Yeah, well, Tom, it's I guess the best way that I can relate it to folks out there is when you serve in a unit, you see each other every single day, and hardship in training brings everybody very close together. So you spend days on end suffering out there in the field, sweat, blood, and tears. And so when you go to combat, there is no doubt that your brother or sister on your left or right is prepared to lay down your life for you. And so when we lose a brother or sister, it is much akin to losing a brother or sister, or a parent, if it's one of your leaders that you lose. And so I guess that's the best way I can describe it. It puts a hole in your soul, and then you got to get up the next day and go outside the wire and honor them.
Now, it's not like it's totally unexpected that this kind of thing happens. I mean, it's the nature of the job. But at the same time, you know you're going to be in harm's way. I just can't. I don't even know how to ask the question, to be honest with you. It just seems to me like that's that. It's coming, or the potential of it's coming, but when the reality hits, it's got to be just like a gut punch.
So it is. It absolutely is. And you know what? I can't describe the feeling of going outside the wire or living outside the wire. Our great men and women that serve in the ranks out there are absolutely phenomenal. They get up every morning or into the night knowing that risk exists, and yet they carry on. And if you talk to soldiers, I mean, Sergeant Healy can tell you, you do it for each other. You're part of something larger, absolutely, and that's why you sign up to serve. But the reality of it is, every day, those brothers and sisters on your left and right are why you go forward.
Sergeant, do you ever look back and say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I wish I'd chosen a different line of work, or I wonder how my life would be different if I hadn't enlisted. I mean, that's a tough question, and I understand you may not be able to answer that totally honestly, but if you can, that'd be fantastic.
Well, Tom, honestly, I'm incredibly grateful for the military, and I'm not just saying that. I mean, I look at where my life has gone and where it could have been, and it's hard for me to picture myself being as well off, spiritually, mentally, physically, definitely, as I would have been if I had not joined the military. And there's just been so much that's come of it, and one of the things that I'm most grateful for is that camaraderie. There's a saying that I've always heard as a kid: "His blood is thicker than water." And I never really understood it until I had it explained to me by this other infantry soldier with multiple combat deployments, and who had experienced that loss. And it's that the blood shed in combat is thicker than that water of life. that bond that you have with your comrades in arms is always going to be the strongest thing.
Wow, wow, that's a cool answer. Colonel, do you have? I mean, obviously, this man's military, this man's army has rewarded you. I mean, you've got birds on your lapel, so that's pretty cool. Any regrets? Anything that you'd have done differently?
Absolutely not. I was a young high school kid in the sticks of Northwest Oregon, and a wrestler by trade. Academics were kind of second, and I knew that I was going to go to college and wrestle, but I had lost my way, and the military academies reached out and said, "Hey, you were once smart. You can be smart again." And you just may need a little structure in your life. As a young junior in high school, I decided that's the way I want to go, and the rest is history.
And so you went to West Point, which is a gorgeous. I don't call it a campus because it's more than a campus, but I've had the privilege of being to West Point. I've had the privilege of being to Annapolis, which is it's a whole different type of thing, but at the same time, so steeped in history and tradition. And there's something about seeing the cadets march, or seeing the midshipmen come out for line up for lunch, that kind of thing. I've yet to go out to Colorado Springs to see the Air Force Academy. That's on a bucket list of things to do. Before we close out here, I wanted to allow you the opportunity to read one more of your comments. And again, I apologize that we don't have time for all 22 of them. But let me ask you this before you get to that, because this is a question you got to talk about the Band of Brothers and the camaraderie-ship, and that you jump from unit to unit so frequently. Do you find that like when you leave the 177 and move on to the next deployment, the next job, will you stay in contact with the folks that you met here at 177 like you have with your combat buddies?
Yeah. So
do you find? I guess I'd say the camaraderie-ship under fire is stronger or about the same as, say, in a peacetime, in a training mission that you have at Shelby.
I would say under fire is much deeper, on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter where we go, you integrate into a unit very quickly, and that's what's neat about the military is no matter where we land in the continental or outside the continental U.S., you're going to land in a family, and that family for us is the Army, and they accept your family in, and you become part of that larger family, and you stay in touch with folks, and social media has actually been a blessing for a lot of folks, especially Vietnam vets who were able to reach out and reconnect with a lot of folks that they hadn't talked to in decades.
And you were telling me off the air, your father was in Vietnam.
He was. So he signed up for the Navy. He's a commercial fisherman, and signed up for the Navy shortly out of high school. Was working on a fishing boat, and the Navy was full, so we got drafted in the Army and went over to Vietnam and received 2 Purple Hearts, a Bronze Star for Valor. The second Purple Heart has made him 100% disabled for the rest of his life. But he doesn't regret serving his country, doesn't regret being drafted. And I would tell you the bonds that he established in that unit over there still exist today. They get together once a year from all 4 corners of the United States. And they pick a spot, and they
That's really
come
cool.
together.
We had this earlier in the show this morning, but it's an interesting statistic, and I know statistics are just that; they're just numbers. But 91% of Vietnam veterans say they're glad they served. 74%. This is an astounding number to me. 74% said they would serve again, even knowing the outcome.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the mic drop right there.
It is the mic drop,
Yeah.
especially since they didn't get the welcome home that
No.
our veterans get today, and They are bursting with pride, and I'm glad that they've been able to tell their story finally.
Before we close out this segment and let you guys get about your Memorial Day, first of all, thank you for your service again. Thank you for coming in this morning. Could you share one more of your comrades here, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay, I will share Corporal Brian L. Chevalier from Bravo Company, 5th Battalion, 20th Infantry Regiment. He was 21 years old, out of Athens, Georgia, in 3rd Brigade Combat Team out of Fort Lewis, and he died fighting with us on March 14th in Baqaba, Iraq, of wounds sustained when an improvised explosive device detonated near him. So God rest his soul.
Gentlemen, again, thank you for your service. I know there's 101 other things that you could be doing today than sitting in here and chatting with us, but thank you so much for doing that too. Do appreciate you.